Okay, Blake, it is 12. It's high noon. High noon here on what the hell do we call ourselves? The political nooner on Ghost Town Politics with Blake McKenzie, right? This good looking kid here. And yours truly, Rachel's Ghost. We got a whole bunch of stuff to get into today, the usual nonsense. The big story is Joe Biden's cancer diagnosis. It's a stage 4 cancer. I don't think the White House, like his White House, his people, his physician, are calling it stage 4. But basically, it's metastasized in the bones. It's spread. And the word on the street is that this has been known for some time. There was Morning Joe, Coffee with Morning Joe, MSNBC, came out with a story. They had a doctor on there. He says it's highly unlikely, quote unquote, that no one did not know about what was going on with Joe Biden, that he's been seriously ill for a while. Trump's calling for the auto pen to be examined. There's a lot of problems right now with this previous admission with Biden. And again, it's the usual suspects, and it's the same game plan. Let's deceive the people. Let's lie to the people. Let's not be forthcoming, and see what the hell we can get away with. If we can how much can we get away with? Well, it looks like the chickens are coming home to roost, and maybe we may finally get some accountability on all this. Keep in mind, the big story here is that I forget the guy's first name. Her is the last name. He was the investigative DOJ guy interviewing Biden
for the documents case.
Because he had all these documents like Trump they threw the book at Trump on the Mar-a-Lago. Remember the FBI fucking raided him? Well, Biden had a whole bunch of fucking documents as well. Of course, nothing happened to him. And the infamous, he's not fit to stand trial kind of idea came out of that. And that was just more fuel for the fire. But this report, this actually got Biden on tape. He doesn't remember when his son died. He said, what does this say? 2016, 2017. When did Bo? This is when my son he was sick and he kept dying. And that was 2 years earlier in 2015, not 2017, Joe Biden. You forget when your kid died? What the hell? You got dementia? What the fuck's wrong?
Well, we have to remember he had a brain surgery too back just not long, I think, before he ran in the so I think I don't know if you could look that up, but I'm not sure what date they actually went into his brain, and after that he was nowhere near as sharp as he used to be. So if you could call him sharp.
So the point is that he it's looking more like he's like some sort of Manchurian candidate, really just a placeholder, a wooden puppet, if anything, and that somebody else was controlling the auto pen. Donald Trump, as we covered in yesterday's show, reporting or posting on Truthing as on the Truth Social, he's saying, all roads lead to Obama. All roads lead to Barack Obama. So it looks like Obama, and this was the first former president in 100 years not to leave the confines of Washington, D.C. So Obama's term was over, and he chose to remain in the area. What the fuck's going on? He's obviously remaining in the area, allegedly, possibly, potentially, to oversee what the hell was going on, because Biden clearly wasn't there. And the cover-up, and they've got, Jake Tapper's got a book coming out, the CNN moron. Tapper's there, and he's going, we knew about this all the time. Yeah, sharp as a fucking tack. I remember fucking Elliot Cruz coming on my program while this was all going down. Elliot Cruz going, he's as sharp as a try. He's incredible. I go, the guy's fucking demented. You can't see it. I don't buy your bullshit. Anyway, he never was as sharp as a tack. It was all confiscated. It was obfuscated, right? It was a smoke screen over this guy. Also, the medical records for Donald Trump, Barack Obama himself, George Bush, Bill Clinton, their medical records are all available for public viewing. Biden's are not. So that's another little towel that you might want to put together on this. So,
yeah.
big, big, big problem. So we have the Her report. Biden can't remember when his son died. I know my kid brother died in June, in the third week of June. He hung himself. We didn't find him for a few days, so we can't say the exact day when he died, but it was June in 1995. You don't forget that kind of shit.
Well, it's funny with these situations remind me, does art imitate life or does life imitate art? And I can't help but the whole Biden administration reminded me of that Star Trek episode from the 1960s where Gil was the Zeons. You remember him?
Yeah.
And he was all drugged up and out of it, and he was being managed by this political apparatus that turned them into basically a Nazi party.
Yeah.
But the fact is, he was drugged out, he was out of it, and they pretended that he was normal. I mean, it was literally Biden in the 1960s playing that character. I've never seen anything like it. If you haven't seen that episode, I can't remember.
Like I've got it all. I got a little Star Trek shrine above me here.
But you know the episode I'm talking about.
Yeah,
right?
I do. That's when that's what the Nazi thing. They all had the Nazi.
Yeah, but Gil was the Starfleet guy who went against the Prime Directive and ended up.
He muckled around. Yeah,
but he was so out of it, they drugged him up to keep him going, and just to be able to make speeches.
Yeah,
it was just. I mean, if there wasn't like a show that was almost identical to Biden's administration, you should go see that. If you haven't seen that episode, if I can't remember the name of it, look it up. But you would go, yeah, that's Biden's administration right there.
Yeah, I'm pretty good with Star Trek titles too. Normally, I remember like the original series. That's my Star Trek. And most of them I remember. That one. I wonder what they call that. Oh man, I will have to come up with. I'll come back to it. We'll find out maybe by the end of the show. Star Trek episode. But you got a good memory on
With
that.
the Nazis?
Yeah, it's the Nazi one. Nazi, they modeled their culture on World War II Nazis. Anyway, it was a starting problem. Well, exactly. And here's the thing: you got this fucker Jake Tapper with the book coming out. He's pushing his book, and he's going, "Oh, the Dems owe us a big apology." Patterns of Force, Blake. Patterns of Force is our beautiful Star Trek title on that episode. Patterns of Force. But so you got Jake Tapper with his book coming out. He's blaming the Democrat Party. He says, Democrat Party, you guys did a cover up, and Biden wasn't capable, and he was mentally incompetent, and you lied to us. We're all deceived. And yet I saw a great clip of Tapper himself talking with Laura Trump. Laura Trump was on, and he's going, are you mocking him because he's got a speech impediment? And she's going, no, he's mentally incompetent is what I'm trying to say. He's got deteriorating mental faculties. Well, it sounds to me like you're mocking this man's speech impediment. And, our beloved Norman Massey over on my other channel, he was in there going, he's got a stutter. He's always been a stutterer. That's all it is. Well, that kind of bullshit, lamestream, legacy media bullshit isn't flying. The chickens are coming home to roost, and that information's coming out. Doesn't remember when Bo was there. What else did he? Oh, he forgot. He didn't know when Trump took office. That was a good one. In 2017, he says, when does he come in? 2017 or something, And so this is in the Her tape. Now, it had been talked about before. Kamali, little hot tamale, Kamali came out, and she was saying, it's just deplorable how these Republicans are attacking poor Joe. He's just a sweet guy. And it turns out that, it was all bullshit. He was absolutely incompetent. And now we can see for ourselves the tape of him on there. I play it, but the quality isn't great. Yeah. You have to have subtitles over on it. But anyway, you clearly got this fucker.
Well, at Check T, he nails it right there. That entire situation was elder abuse. It really was. He was out of control. He was, he was completely ill. And they abused him.
Yeah.
And use a body double.
Okay, I am. If God was one of us, I am one of us. Yes, you are. Welcome to the show. I want to say Frank. Am I right with Frank? Frank, oh boy, I need my book of words here. Everybody's got, a name, right? A handle out there. But anyway, You should put like Dave the bigger is like Frank the one of us. You know, then your name's in there, so it's easier to remember. I always find it friendlier to do. So this is a big story right now. The her report drops of the tape, very condemning, damning videotape of Biden confused, doddering, and not to mention all the times he's speaking and he gets lost, he can't find his way.
So not fit to go to trial, but he's still fit to run the country.
Not fit to go to stand trial, but I guess he's fit to run. Yeah, it's all this kind of word salad and these ludicrous trying to make round holes go in square pegs and cram it in, make things fit somehow when clearly they don't. So the charge right now from our side of the aisle is, okay, so this guy's mentally incompetent. He's not running things. Other people are running it for him. He doesn't know where even when his kid dies. So who's running the auto pen, and should the auto pen come under scrutiny? Well, I'm happy to tell you that it is, and there's an investigation going into who is doing so. Trump's putting pressure on it. Trump also tweeting out today, going hard, because Bruce Springsteen in recent days, we talked about that, these celebrities going hard against Trump. Oprah Winfrey, apparently Kamala Harris did all this stuff and Trump is having none of it. He wants them all investigated. So what this is, amazing if this goes down. But Trump's not just some peon. He's the president of the United States. He's got a lot of power. And so he wants to see if there's financial financial shenanigans, but election violations in through the election laws.
Because there's a pay for endorsements.
You can't. Well, you can have endorsements, but it's got to be done through proper channels. And
you can pay for entertainment, but they can't endorse.
Yeah, you can't conflate the two. And anyway, there was a lot of conflating of the two. Yeah. So it's hopefully with any luck we'll get that investigated too. That'd be nice to see. Okay, so here's our first link of the day. This one is kind of related to the news and all the trouble that's going on. Here's some good news for us, bad news for the deep state and legacy media. This one is entitled CBS. Third down there. CBS. Some good news coming for us, coming out of CBS. We'll get Sue to get the link here and we'll get her to share it. So the news here is that the head of CBS, I think her name's McMahon, she has officially stepped down. And the beauty here is CBS News chief steps down amid tensions over Trump lawsuit. Not only is it pressure or tensions, right? This is how they're framing it. NBC is framing it as tensions. It's $10 billion worth of tensions that Trump just won from these motherfuckers. It's become clear that the company and I do not agree on the path forward. Wendy McMahon wrote to the staff weeks after the top producer at 60 Minutes resigned. Top producer resigns. And now the head of CBS News, Wendy McMahon has stepped down. She's in the crosshairs. There's a lot of pressure on these news types. They lied to the American people. They lied to the world. And these lies, this administration, all this administration, the previous administration did under this Biden, is they lied. When Trump's having his debate, I got 51 intel agents that are going to back up that Hunter Biden's laptop is Russian disinformation. Fake, phony, false. They lied. It wasn't true at all. Prostitutes pissed on Trump. P-gate, not true. Made up. Steele dossier, not true. Made up. Bullshit. And we're learning stuff about January 6th now. Ashley Babbitt, her family just won $5 million in a wrongful death suit because some fucker shot an unarmed woman. And if you can believe it, Blake, some of the leftists on my other program actually rejoiced in that and said she deserved it. They actually support, these violent Democrats support shooting of unarmed innocent people.
Who just happened to be going up some stairs and looking in the window. And that was about it. And maybe knocking on it. They certainly weren't with weapons and trying to bash down the barricades. That was not happening.
So what do you think about these lawsuits? There's a lot flying around right now. Trump has won that one against 60
Well,
Minutes.
I Well, I think it has to happen, and you have to get these so-called quote unquote mainstream news sources who are supposed to be acting like real journalists. So you think they would question everything that comes to them, verify the information before they start reporting on it. But they did. They're just part of the apparatus of the propaganda machine, and they've been caught. And I think more and more of these lawsuits, as they keep coming out, will finally get these guys either to disappear for good because they're financially not viable, or they will have to change and become normal news networks and not be partisan hacks. I mean, at least Fox News is not, regardless, I'm not a big fan of Fox News, but at least they're we know who they are. They know they're there to pump the Republicans, and that's what they do.
Fox, the controlled opposition.
Exactly. And I think but the reality is we're seeing, but what frustrates me more is that the state was used to go after media personalities like Alex Jones and, and you could say like, Roger Stone was a media personality at that time. He was quite outspoken on media networks. And they went after these people using the full force of government to the point where they were putting pressure apparently on Facebook, pressure on Twitter, formerly Twitter, but before it was owned by Elon, to shut these people down. And they did. And, Alex Jones getting what was it? $500 billion fine?
Yeah, the fines were, but look at Trump's fine in New York over the property. It was like 85 million or it was like 500. It was half $500 million they were fining him. Like, it never in the history had it ever been seen like that. I mean, the charge was just off the charts. And I think that one actually got thrown out. That particular case got tossed.
But they're using lawfare to go after media opposition, which is essentially, that's what media was intended to do, was help question on behalf of the people, question government.
Yeah.
And then it became, no, if you question government, you become the enemy of the state. That is not a free and democratic society. That is not a society that believes in the U.S. Constitution or basic human rights. This was the very opposite that they were using it. So it's good that there's some action happening at that level, but maybe some of these guys should face other criticism outside of that. And maybe, hopefully, that they will find that they're integrated into the lying and propaganda machine and should be held responsible for that.
Well, we're seeing, I mean, I put it this way.
These guys have put people into jail. Let's call it for what it is. People went to jail for these guys' actions. They shouldn't be just fined or $1 billion lawsuit. Maybe some of these guys should do time behind bars.
No, it's nowhere near what we got. We got a lot more, buddy. We got a lot more, Matthew. We haven't begun to fight. It's remarkable. But Blake, let's picture it as an arm wrestle. Where's Trump with the arm wrestle? Is he almost got these guys down? Legacy media is shedding viewers left, right, and center. You've got people like Bill Maher. That's kind of, he's over here on the left, and he's slowly, he's moved over a lot. Met Trump, it went quite well. He had a lot of respect for him, enjoyed the conversation. Still identifying as a leftist, but seeing problems within his own party. I just saw a great clip of Bernie Sanders, of all people, saying the Democrats got real problems. But he goes, what was I going to do? Because they said you shouldn't have thrown in your support behind Hillary. That's exactly a huge problem. And
the very person who targeted him and got rid of him and deep-sixed him politically.
Yeah, but you pay people off, and then they're all happy.
He's got constituents to keep happy.
Yeah, Bernie was saying, I got my constituents. I had to sell my soul for my constituents.
Yeah, his paycheck.
But, So it's really interesting, but we see that CBS has lost their lawsuit. I think Trump won also against MSNBC. And a lot of these pundits, Rachel Maddow's gone now. Great. The head of CBS News gone. Trump's going to win that suit. I think he's already won it. It's a $10 billion lawsuit with CBS because they fudged the Kamala Harris interview, faked it. All they do is lie. All they
Yeah.
do is obfuscate. All they do is smoke and mirrors. Don't look here, look here. Now we got this Biden situation. He's demented. He's signing documents, but I don't think he's signing them. I think somebody else is doing it all with the auto pen. He doesn't even have to be there. Get this done. They're probably bringing him in, Obama, somebody, and he signs, go do this, go this. It's got to be investigated. Let's get to the bottom of that.
Let's say it for what it is. This isn't about you guys liberals, because you guys were on the target list as well. This is a global cabal, a WEF stooges that basically are trying to control the world and change the laws to benefit them, turn you all into serfs. So stand up against them. Quit using Occupy Democrat crap talking points, because that's all it is. Join with everybody in the middle where everybody is and stop this madness, because you can't keep doing this. Your party was co-opted. Just admit it. You've lost because you lost your party. Get control of your party. Get rid of these thugs that run it and become a normal party again. And then you can start be part of that conversation.
Yeah, and the playbook is in play all over the world. I just saw, we were talking about, I brought up your Romanian election. It looked very positive for the populist. I saw a graph over on the X platform showing the voting. It was very close. And then slowly the populist, Simeon or something like that, his name, he started gaining. But then on the last thing, Polymarket went like this. A rocket ship. It took a right degree angle going up for the deep state candidate.
Yeah.
And the Patriot, this is within the last day, and it just went like that.
Just a lie.
All over there. So the fix was in there. It seems that more and more we need to examine elections, because it seems to be replicating everywhere. Canada right now with the Liberals, they're scratching at the door to get a bare minimum majority, just to give them a little more leverage in what they want to do. Maybe start talking like mandate when none exists. Go ahead.
Well, and I think your point where you're saying, where's Trump now in this with regards to the arm wrestle, right? I will take it more on a military viewpoint of that. So where is he in this at this point? Well, I would picture World War II. He's now protected the United States, and now he's got to go after these guys who are all in their foxholes and deep into bunkers around the world, taking shots at him. So we need to start going into Iwo Jima. We need to start going into Germany now. We need to go into the invasion of taking these guys out for good. And that means they need to be, and I'm not talking about militarily. I'm just saying they need to be politically taken out, and they need to be abolished. And
the problem with that scenario, Blake, and I got this here because it speaks to what you're talking about, the conservatives in British Columbia. You were saying they're dividing, a lot of the right wing is dividing. What it is that you've got controlled opposition, you got traditional conservatives, which are really just part of the uniparty. Nothing ever changes, like badminton. Okay, your turn, Liberals, you run it for a few years. Our turn, we'll take it for a couple of weeks, then we'll give it back to you. Here's trouble with Trump. This is the trouble on the home front. Senate Republicans vote against codifying these corrupt Republicans are in there. When you brought it, what the fuck's wrong with these people? And they're all bought off. They're co-opted. And this is why the usual suspects, Lisa Murkowski and our friends, are always showing up on these. So Trump is continuing to fight the Republicans. And it's very clear as time progresses that there's MAGA, you got your Trump people, and then you got your old school Republicans. Old school Republicans allow for George Bush and Michelle Obama to have cuddly little photo ops together, just loving each other so tenderly. And it's so great. But the point is that that's the old guard. The new guard is let's clean up corruption. Doge found this thing where they had a financial scheme. There's about 8 financial, I think he called them money trees, where they were just making money out of nothing. I didn't follow the details on that story, but this kind of corruption, the fix is in for this institutionalized corruption. America's got problems with NPR and some of these government-funded PBS. news that our tax dollars go for and fight against the people. They turn to use it. But Canada, if anything, is even worse with the CBC getting money. And even the old magazines, Maclean's, you go into a dentist's office, is there anything to read? Well, we got a few old Herald comic books, but here, read Maclean's magazine. Why Trump is evil. Oh, this thing looks like a good article to read as I'm getting my molar fixed. I mean, this kind of bullshit. And they can't survive. These freaking legacy publications, legacy news, nobody's watching them except the 65 and older crowd. And I'm in that crowd, but I'm not the person watching. I've got the body of an 18-year-old right now. I'm dieting. I'm doing great. But this is the point is it's just nonsense. They got to fix this stuff, get it under control, see it break, and stop funneling money to it. Carney, he hasn't even really been in office for more than 3 weeks. And
he's printing billions already.
He's already throwing 137 million at the fucking CBC. Are you freaking kidding me?
And printing billions. Without even the legislature, the provincial parliament has been called back since it's been over 9 months. We haven't had anybody in there. It's crazy.
We get them back?
But it is. But that's their system globally. I mean, this is what the central banking cartels work with. They're the, I don't think, as I said, getting back to the art imitates life, or does life imitate art? I mean, Game of Thrones kind of covered that. They had the what were they called? The bank, the Iron Bank, right? And they were this mysterious bank that funded every nation in the world and would decide who would be the most powerful when they chose to do it. So there's this, as you said, the uniparty is there because the Iron Bank funds them, if you want to call it that. Yeah. But these guys are there in the background. It's the billionaire, trillionaire classes now that are calling it. And I think essentially what we're facing, and I hope Trump is out there to defeat it, is we don't want to be serfs. This is where it's all leading. It's all coming back to this. And all this news, all this funding of the biggest media, the legacy media gets funding. They do. How do they get their funding in the US? Well, they get it through massive contributions that go to these big PACs. And those PACs then spend billions with them. And it's so easy to control them. It's so easy. Just give them piles of money and they'll do what you want.
I like this comment. This is from Wolfie. Does CNN have, they lost that exclusive contract, but it was interesting because we just went over to Vancouver with the stereo situation. We're on the way back and CTV News is on there. And
another funded one.
Yeah, you're just captive to CTV. And they were talking about Trump and tariffs and how Trump's all bad. I was thinking, how fucking different would our world be, Blake, if you're on the BC ferry and the people are sitting there and they get to watch you and me talking about the world this way? And it's called legitimation. I have a sociology degree. There is the gatekeeper effect. Legacy media is used as legitimation in order to throw weight and steer public opinion and establish narratives that are going to define society and culture. Yeah. And so the word gets out and it has that function. And so when the people are sitting there, I go, they're just freaking brainwashed. I remember just out on doing a bike ride, or I was having a jog or something years ago in Oak Bay and Victoria, British Columbia. And I'm doing my little jog, and some guys listening as I'm going by. I could hear the radio going, just propaganda. And this poor fucker on his porch is just sucking it all in. I go, holy shit, man. You're just drinking this in 24 hours a day. And of course, these things, it's not like you and me here with our, 1 hour, noon, or a half hour, whatever the hell we're feeling like doing. It goes on forever. So my point is that before Trump can go out and he's doing stuff on the world stage. We get that. But there's so much corruption at home that he still hasn't got that battle won. We've got to see justice in the terms of James Comey. We got to see that J6 committee, January 6th committee. We need to see them brought to justice. And all those motherfuckers were what do you call it? In a preemptive presidential pardon through AutoPen by somebody, not Joe Biden, but by somebody who's decided that their little character shouldn't be judged and don't look over there and criticize?
Jill was busy.
Yeah, Jill Biden.
Did you see? I saw something about Trump was talking about the pardoning of nonviolent criminals permanently, like just a mass. Apparently, 2 million people could potentially impact who basically may have had at a time where they've done something stupid, but their lives have been destroyed, even though they've done their time.
Because they got caught with some pot.
Or whatever. They were caught drunk driving or, had an accident.
The ones I don't want to see out are like the white crime magnates, these big, powerful people that just want to rip. And no, they don't deserve it. They need to do time. There has to be consequences. Exactly. Do the crime, do the time. We can't just slap on the wrist on everything. But we got to send our judgments, both in Canada and everywhere else, do so judiciously. We've got Tamara Litch up here in Canada, part of the trucker, led a peaceful trucker convoy protest.
Yeah.
She's in the world's longest mischief trial. She still faces up to, they want to throw her in jail for 10 fucking years for a mischief for creating social.
Well, if that happens in Canada, I hope Canadians have their Bastille Day.
Okay, but hold on. So they want to do that with her. And meanwhile, in Vancouver, we got a guy who knifes these two women in the bed, and he's already out. Nothing to see here. Just had a little bad plot.
A little bit of cultural enrichment, Canada. There you go.
My butt disagree with me. So, I mean, justice has fled the land. That's got to be fixed up.
Well, I said this is purpose demolition of our Western civilization. There's a purpose behind it. If you can't see that, there's something wrong. It's not a tinfoil hat thing. If there's a reason why this is happening, and we have to look behind that veil to see what the hell's going on.
Okay. Now, again, for some good news, did you want to grab article number 2, Supreme Court? We got a little win in the Supreme Court, which is kind of nice. This has to do with Joe Biden giving a pathway to citizenship or allowing permanent resident status to, I think it's like 500 million people. It was 500 million people or so. Do you want to move it up just a bit? Yeah. Breaking Supreme Court grants Trump authority to revoke protected status 500,000. So 500,000, excuse me, I got the numbers way off. 500,000. So 500,000 illegals are in the states. This involved Biden's, and I don't even know what this standard for, CHNV program. I don't even know what that stands for. But basically, Cuba, I see. It's Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, Venezuela program. So all those cats were allowed to stay. There was an 8-1 victory on the bench. The only abstainer was this liberal judge that was appointed by Otto Penn. Again, this judge was appointed by Biden. Now, does this mean that Trump should be able to appoint a judge? Maybe not. Maybe in fairness, they should throw her back into the wastebasket, but they should allow the Dems to pick up maybe a special dispensation, or do we punish them because you lied? Your guy was there. There's so much corruption. Your guy clearly was mental incompetence. How do you think we should deal with this? Should this judge be evaluated in any way? I mean, you got an 8-1 judgment, and you got this one outlier. And did the judge the Biden hire?
But if the judge went through the committee process, then the Senate committees would have been involved in questioning that person.
Yeah.
So
sure.
the vetting would have been in place. So I think benefit of the doubt goes to the system. Did they do their job? But we know it's a uniparty. So if did they fought it? But if they were outgunned on the committees, then they would vote them through.
Yeah. Marty in Oregon asks, Rich, can you share a bit about the genesis of your political interest and position? Yeah. I was a disinterested, disaffected individual. I had no fucking interest at all. I was watching Stephen Colbert. The latest thing which really fired me up, really got me fired. First of all, the big one was 2001, with the World Trade Center. That was the most shocking thing I've ever seen in my life. I came across an automobile accident where a dead child had hit a baby had thrown out of a mother's arms, hit a windshield and bounced back about 20 feet, laying dead in the road. So I was the first on the scene after that. I went into an inquest. The driver was charged with being impaired. It said it was a horrible thing. The mother was buried in the front end bumper. She was lying in a very unnatural position, dead in the grill work of this truck. And so I was shocked by that. But even more shocking, I had just bought a big 64-inch television. I wake up, I hear a small airplane. I pictured a small Cessna or something. Said, an airplane is, I wake up in those days, you get up, you're going to go to work. And the radio clock radio wake me up, and I hear a plane has hit the World Trade Center. So I'm like, what the hell is that about? Maybe a Cessna. I picture a Cessna, and I go and I click in on my brand new Big Sipper 64-inch big old TV. They were boxes, right? They weren't like flat screen. They weren't embedded. And I'm shocked. I see one tower smoking, and I sit down. And I just like, oh my God, what's going on? And then I learned that it was a jet. A half hour in watching the coverage, the second jet hit live on television. As I saw people leaping out of the windows, dying. I was shocked. I was in tears. I cried when that second plane hit. Just involuntarily, tears shot out of my eyes, Marty. I knew people had died. How many hundreds of people just died in a second like that? So I was horrified, and I was so angry, and about what had happened. I was Osama bin Laden, that son of a bitch. We got a fucker, and I'm watching CNN like everybody. Got it on, So I'm watching CNN, the most trusted name, and I'm watching CNN, and we're going to go after the Iraqis. We're going to get Saddam Hussein and go get that fucker. And the CNN's broadcasting. We've got remote embedded reporters with the 7th Cavalry. This is a famed U.S. 7th Cavalry. We're moving into Riyadh. We're coming, and they're flying in these fucking HMVs and Jeeps, and they're flying over the desert, guns, and they're going in. I go, get them. Get those fuckers. And they're showing the jets. And then the Brits were in there, the tornado jet that got shot down. And the guys that got bloody, bruised eye. And I'm, you fuckers. Right? And I was just fired up over this. And I saw Colin Powell go before the United Nations. He got his little panel of photos in front of him. Colin Powell, trusted, beautiful leader in America. God bless you for your patriotism, Colin Powell. And he's showing me the photos. He goes, well, these are weapons of mass destruction. So I bought it, hook, hook, line, and sinker. Bush is out there. We're not going to take this. We're going to see justice is done. And so I was all behind it. Rah, rah, rah. And then what happened? It was the biggest wake-up call in my life. They basically gutted the Middle East. They took out Iraq, which left Persia, Iran, looking really good because they took out one of their biggest thorns side of Iran. Then ISIS was born out of Al-Qaeda. So now we got ISIS on our hands. We got Al-Qaeda, but Al-Qaeda is now morphed into ISIS.
Who were basically disenfranchised Sunnis out of Iraq.
Yeah.
And then, exactly. Well, this is why it's created, right? Because we destabilized the Middle East. Then what happened is you've got no weapons of mass destruction found. So all that thing, they find out those pictures calling. I go, those fuckers lied to me. Those fuckers lied to me. And I said, you fucks. That was a big wake-up call, Marty. Fast forward to 2016, I'm watching Stephen Colbert, laughing my head off at him. He was doing the Republican primaries. He's got Jeb Bush with a little turtle, and everything was funny, and Colbert's laid back and having a good time. Nothing weird's going on. And then suddenly, Donald Trump starts coming down the escalator. He becomes the guy. And Trump is somebody I wasn't interested in. He was a talk show host guy. I didn't watch him. I didn't watch The Apprentice. I didn't care about him. Handy Godot. That was another huge fucking thing.
Yeah.
Holy shit. So much, Marty. So then the hatred, then when Trump became a serious contender, Colbert's attitude changed. And I could see it. And while he was changing his attitude, and everybody was going, why do they hate this guy? So I was literally looking out here doing different stuff. And it caused me to look at Trump and go, what the fuck? Who's this guy? What the fuck's going on with Trump? The TV guy, the real estate? I knew it was the real estate. And I knew he was the game show guy, or the Apprentice ego guy, New York realtor. What do I know? I'm watching him. And then I suddenly go, well, I don't see why they hate him so much. I'm not getting it. I don't see it. And so it went from non-interest to interest. The other big thing that happened, Marty, is I'm watching just every day. I'd wake up watching CBC in those days. I'm a news junkie. I like watching CBC, CTV. I had my values, but nothing was on heat. There was no burner with the world agenda, but they amped it up, and I responded accordingly. So we got a news story that broke. A little kid, Ilya, out of Turkey, is found dead on a beach. A little dead kid in a red shirt with little blue shorts, and he's all dead on the beach. And I'd never seen anything like it. They got a fucking dead kid on TV. I've never seen a dead kid on TV. Who the fuck puts a dead kid on TV? Next thing you know, the dead kid's on Time magazine. They're holding the little boy. They're walking him out of the water. He's dead on the sand. They got him in the hands. And what happened? The world's borders suddenly collapsed out of a humanitarian crisis, all because this young kid died on the beach. And I went, this is very passing strange. Why are they showing this dead child? Not just showing him, but over and over and over and over, till that image became buried in my consciousness. It became a thing. And I realized this is not genuine. This is being a manipulation on here. So you got the dead kid on the beach that blew open the world's borders. You got Trump suddenly hate the emperor went up. The temp on Trump went to levels I'd never seen. And of course, the baloney and the fallout of the weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, destabilizing the creation of ISIS. Finally, the fourth element in all of this was, God, there's so much that happened. The COVID thing came, and I had a visceral negative thing on that. I go, I just don't see it. I don't get it. That was quite all right. It really was, Matthew. And then that thing happened. The virus thing happened for a few years back. And I went, this is crazy. Why the big push on this? I've never seen anything like it in my lifetime. So I had a kind of a gut level reaction against that. Then there was the war in the Ukraine with Russia. And then everyone's going, and then the little Ukrainian flag started sprouting up everywhere. And it's probably, I stand with you. And I'm going, what the hell's going on? What is this? Where's this coming from? So all of these variables put together started adding up to something going on. Oh, yeah, here's what I missed. Also, coincidentally, at the same time as Trump and the heat is going against Trump, suddenly WikiLeaks is on the map. And I'm not listening to Fox. I'm not listening to the CBC. I'm not listening to CNN. I'm not listening to anybody. I'm seeing the Democrats' own internal communications with one another saying, we got to torpedo Bernie. We got to get Hillary's our girl. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the head of the DNC, had to resign because the fix was in for Hillary financing, because the Clintons had money. The DNC was effectively broke. So they financed the DNC. But the catch was she had to be the de facto nominee in payment for it. Following after Debbie Wasserman Schultz resigned, you can find all this is all verified. Donna Brazile took over. Then she fed debate questions to Hillary Clinton while she's debating Bernie Sanders. She got fired because that story broke. So WikiLeaks revealed all the internal memos, all the internal communications that showed how fucking corrupt these people were. And so collectively, Marty, that brings us to where we are today with the attacks, the two impeachments, the two assassination attempts, one where the guy got a chance to fire, the other one where they got him before he could launch the bullets. So all these things have only reinforced that we've got 51 intel officers. That was a lie. Sharp has attacked Biden's in the full capability of his faculties. Another lie. Coming out now, it was a lie. It never happened. Biden's mentally incompetent. He cannot face trial for having for classified documents in his Camaro or whatever the fuck he owned. Yeah, in his garage. We can't try him, but we can go after Trump. We'll hit Trump on this. And so all this sort of shit happened. It's just unbelievable. And collectively, it goes. As Sue says, there was a psyop on the world's population. If they hadn't pressed their hands so much to the pedal, I think everything would have been a lot cooler with me and the world at large. But because they went in so hard, the lockdowns, the 9/11, all of that collectively, I went, okay, no more. Kid gloves are off for me. I'm not going to play nice either. You're not playing nice with me. I won't play nice with you. And it led me to passionately do this. So I hope that answers your question, Marty. I know it's a lot to take in, but there's a lot that happened from 2001 to 2025. And we're still in it. We're still in the fallout of it all. And of course,
Well, and it's very, very similar, your story, to what Tucker talked about, because Tucker said the same thing. Tucker Carlson was saying he got wrapped up into the weapons of mass destruction, the whole whipped up by the Twin Towers coming down, the propaganda just was going at breakneck speed, and civil libertarians were warning about the development and the creation of Homeland Security, that would literally start stripping you of your rights. And yet people are like,
Patriot Act that came out.
Yeah, exactly. And they kept going hard on the propaganda. Like, you're either with us or you're with the terrorists. And yeah, that drums up. Yeah, I'm on team A. I don't want to be on team B. And if you are, but the machine kept using the same standard right through to the disease that shall not be named. You're either with us or against us. Mm-hmm. And the message never changes. Divide, 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 demonize, demonize, demonize. Divide, divide, divide. You're with us, you're with us, you're with us, or you're not. And I think that's your story is very similar. When I've heard Tucker Carlson walk his steps, what happened? How did he come out of that machine? And it's very similar to yours.
I don't know. Trump was against the lockdowns. What Trump did was he handed the reins over to Fauci. Keep in mind that what was great about Trump's interview with Tucker Carlson is Joe Rogan. When Trump was on Rogan, he goes, "What were you doing like in there? What's it like becoming president? What was that like?" He goes, "Well, you don't really know what you're doing. I got to tell you, you come in there, you got other people there, you rely on these people. So who's a good guy? I need a guy to do this. Who's a good guy?" They give you a recommendation, so you're dependent. What do I do? Who's the best at viruses in the world? Who's the number one guy? Oh, that would be Dr. Fauci, number one guy. Okay, well, I guess we'll get Dr. Fauci to spearhead this thing. What do you recommend, doctor? I'm not a doctor. You guys give him shit. And the media lied about Trump. They're saying, oh, he's saying bleach. He never said bleach. He used the word disinfectant, entirely different thing. He talked about light therapy, which is a real medical treatment. It's legit. But because the yellow journalism and the machine was turned on Trump with full bore, they used it to ridicule. So the thing with the lockdowns, lockdowns weren't Trump. That came in with Biden. What Trump did, though, was he came in with the jab, and he got a lot of shit from his base on that, a lot of pushback on that, and a lot of criticism for turning it over to Fauci. But that was the reality. He was pretty green.
Enforced mandates and lockdowns.
A lot of states took the control out of the president's hands.
Unconstitutional.
It was unconstitutional for the feds to touch it. So it was up to the states to determine it. So here in British Columbia, it worked that way. In Canada, we had each province taking over the how each province was going to handle it by Health Canada. British Columbia Health handled it differently than other parts of the country. Even today, you're hearing news headlines for all the talk about Alberta and how land of the free Alberta is. They're talking to them about a mandatory. Go ahead.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is the states put in mandates. Trump didn't. The states exercised mandates and restrictions on people.
Yeah,
very similar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty
Okay.
similar to
Here's
other provinces.
what Sue said. That
So certain
answers your
states were
question.
freer than others. Like look at that
Florida.
Alderman in Michigan or whatever who,
Yeah.
you know,
Wimmer, whatever her name is.
I mean, some states had more.
So
severe...
yeah, some states were pretty draconian. Other states it was a lot more relaxed. British Columbia was pretty stuff. They had ID. You had to have digital ID to go into a restaurant, the R&R Diner in where we were living in Central Saanich. We'd go there all the time. We couldn't go there anymore. We were verboten. We couldn't even get in there.
And a few restaurants shut down over that. And it said that we know of. I mean, so many people suffered through that whole process. But yeah, going back to this conditioning propaganda that got what was amazing is that you could literally show how a country could convert its citizenry to turn against itself. And you watched it in real time. And I saw, people questions like, oh, I would never have supported Hitler if I was in the 1930s. I would have fought against him. BS, you would have, because that little episode we just had from the disease we shall not name showed how many people would side with the government to go and hurt their own fellow citizens.
Yeah, and different countries were worse. I mean, Australia was one of the worst of all. I remember they were saying you can't walk your dog. We don't want you out jogging. Avoid all this.
They had border checks in Australia between their states, but they call them states like our provinces. But yeah, there's border checks, and even in Sydney, who my business partner is from Sydney, and that's where he lives. They had border crossings literally where people couldn't go over in neighborhoods blocks. You had to stay within your neighborhood, and people would come to the wall to talk to each other across the way.
Same thing on the island. We weren't allowed to come up the island.
Yeah, we couldn't.
We had to stay
Victoria,
in our
our
capital regional district. You couldn't leave the district.
Yeah.
During the lockdown.
Yeah. And ridiculous. I mean, some of the memes that came out of that, Blake, I just love. One of them is they show a picture of all the people at 10 feet away. You remember, you keep your social distance, 10 people at a distance at the airport in the line. And then the same group, a half hour later, they're all crunched in on the airplane. Now we're on the plane, and we're right next door to the right shoulder to shoulder with the guy on the plane with us. Only 10 minutes, a half hour before, we're all like this. So that's not, now we're all crammed in the plane to go on our flight to Hawaii.
Yeah.
Where we're going to be with each other for the next 9 hours. Excuse me. That's crazy. So, yeah, it's pretty crazy. I miss Jade. Jade was wonderful. Jade is from the old channel, a great lady down in Australia there. Yeah, Jade's a lot of fun.
I will.
Matthew, we love you. Yeah, remember Jade and Loki. Holy smokes, that was funny. But holy smokes, these shows go by so quickly. Let's one more story for today.
Okay,
we'll take this one. And here's some good news. Laura Loomer is big on the Biden thing. She was saying this guy's got cancer. He's not in good health. President just had a 2-hour-long talk with Vladimir Putin. Russia and Ukraine will immediately start negotiations towards a ceasefire and, more importantly, an end to the war. Trump is the president of peace. We are lucky to have him. Scroll it up. And here's what Trump says. Just completed my 2-hour call with President Vladimir Putin of Russia. I believe it went very well. Russia and Ukraine will immediately start negotiations toward a ceasefire. More importantly, an end, big capital, beautiful capital letters, an end to the war. The condition for that will be negotiated between the two parties as it can only be, because they know details of a negotiation nobody else will be aware of. The tone and spirit of the conversation were excellent. If it wasn't, I would say so now rather than later. Russia wants to do large-scale trade with the U.S. When this catastrophic bloodbath is over, and I agree, there is tremendous opportunity for Russia to create massive amounts of jobs and wealth. Its potential is unlimited. Likewise, Ukraine could be a great beneficiary of trade in the process of rebuilding its country. Negotiations between Russia and Ukraine will begin immediately. I have so informed President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine, Ursula von der Leyen, President of the EU, President Emmanuel Macron de France, and Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, or the cutie from Italy, Chancellor Friedrich Merz, Fred Merz, love Fred Merz, from Germany, and President Alexander Stubb of Finland during a call with me. Immediately after the call with President Putin, the Vatican, as represented by the Pope, has stated that it would be very interested in hosting the neighbors negotiations. Let the process begin. Our happy neighbors, our friends, let the negotiations begin. Thank you, President Trump, the president of peace, man. Some good stuff.
Well, let's hope that they can. I mean, let's face it, that war is identical, just so our American friends understand this. The same number of casualties you had in your own civil war, they've had in the Ukraine-Russia war. Well over 500,000 deaths and wounded is awful.
Yeah, it's
So
horrific.
that's going to
Yeah,
take some
like
time for some wounds to heal too. And I'm not talking, it's going to be hard for them to trust each other for a long time. So that's going to take some really a lot of help to try and make sure that that doesn't break out again.
Well, and the West weren't helpful in any of that. The West facilitated with the way the aggressive policy of NATO and its expansion in the region. Russia told them don't expand. They did. Well,
after being promised they wouldn't, and that's the part. Yeah.
So the wind reaped the whirlwind. Illegal immigrants weren't tested or asked. That's one of the great contradictions. So while we're all getting locked down, the borders were wide open. Millions of people just flying in, and nobody was testing them for anything. Come on in, the water's fine.
Meanwhile, the agony you had to go through to cross the Canadian and American border.
Oh my God.
All the testing you had to go through.
We didn't even go. We didn't travel.
No. Well,
we just said, no way. They talk about this.
We were allowed to.
Well, the propaganda right now, they're saying, oh, no Canadian wants to go to America. Bullshit. I love America. I'd go in a heartbeat. The point is that back then, though, they were the ones that you couldn't go even if you wanted to go. Go ahead.
Well, and I got two stories to that. Every time I see a story about that, I've crossed the border twice, once in March and another time in April. First time going to Phoenix, next time going to Austin, Texas. And I can tell you the customs and immigration people were awesome. They were super nice, super friendly. All that BS at the propaganda we were seeing up here about how horrible it was for Canadians across the border and that they were being asked to they support the president. Never once did I even get any kind of experience like that. That was just pure propaganda.
Were you crossing into Washington?
It's SeaTac.
Yeah, so you got a lot of Democrat. You were probably frisked over by a bunch of Democrats.
No, everybody was happy. I mean,
they're happy Democrats in Washington State. Beautiful blue state. Well, Blake, I want to thank you as always for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, as always too, for our public, please consider giving a thumbs up on the video. I know it's small potatoes right now. Our numbers are small, things are small. We're getting about 100 and some odd views per episode. That'll improve with time as we get out there. But YouTube's going, they aren't fans of this channel. We know that already. So every thumbs up helps promote it, and make sure you're subscribed. And if this is a kind of engaging conversation you enjoy, please consider being a subscriber. Blake, final word, and then we'll head out.
Final word is that Fortress North America coming soon. Lots of chatter online right now about it, so it's coming.
All right, let's talk more about that tomorrow. That's a great topic. Yeah. Thanks, everybody. We love you. Bye for now.